place. I'm not sure why, but I assume that's due to the fact that on lower scale, like if we would go like 15 seconds, it actually moved down severely, and that's why it opened here, because that's the case. It's probably someone downed it with a couple of million here, and that's why it opened somewhere else. But otherwise, I like the way it looks. I feel in the money right now. Look at that, $117. And in this case, it should probably correct itself a little bit at some point. And if everything goes well according to plan, that it should move up, it should just continue moving upwards. And that's what I'm hoping to see. What else is going on? Let's see. Whoa, that's a big jump up. Euro just became a little bit more valuable here. Surprisingly, it's hard to tell why. Because things like that wasn't happening for a long time here. Yep. Highs like that don't take place very often. However, it's here and we witnessed it. 2017. I can't believe it says 2017. Something's wrong here. Something is wrong with Euro USD. As you can see, it's not showing up the correct time. My time is shows in Jerusalem +2. That's the timeline. So it looks like it's a glitch. So do not forget that if you looked at Euro USD previously on my YouTube channel, assume that the date is wrong. So don't look at the date, just look at the chart. At the chart and the price, obviously. Hopefully the price is not wrong. I'm going to check it right now. Let's go onto the exchange's website and see what it says, and it provides us the information the same as we saw on TradingView. And currently it says the same price, so it looks like the price isn't wrong to bid, but if when it comes to asking, it's a different price. No, it's not. 92. Okay, so everything seems to be just fine. I've just checked it twice. It says that it's okay. as you can see. But the date is wrong. It looks like that something is definitely wrong with the way the exchange is operating. That's a monthly chart. BATS exchange for Apple stock. I like the way it looks. Up and down, up and down. On the mini chart, it looks like the correction already taken place here, and the market was going down for a while already. It's best if I just short it. Euro USD. Wow, it looks like it's glitching out pretty badly. Don't forget, don't look at the date. Just look at the price, because the date was messed up here, but in here right there, surprisingly enough, it's right once again. Somehow, I don't know how or why, the minute we spotted this, they have corrected the date. As you can see, the last minute when I was ranting about it, it showed 2017 December 29th, 11 hours 57 minutes. However, after the rant, they changed it into 2018 January 1st, 8 o'clock 10 minutes. And it looks like it stayed the correct way afterwards. However, it did show us a nice movement here, and we can see this clearly right here, that some serious movement taking place. It looks like I'm finishing my beer now. I have the last glass filled, and I can see that the foam is going almost over the cup. USD oil has been hit on 1 minute here. This is 1 minute chart. And the time is bad too. It looks like the time is bad everywhere. I don't know why is that, but the time didn't got fixed everywhere. On cryptocurrencies, it looks like the time is fine. As you can see, it's January 1st. But if I look at, for example, this right here, it looks like the time is completely messed up. So there is a possibility that besides cryptocurrencies, all the other stocks have error on them. I don't know why it's that, but that's the case on tradingview.com. But cryptocurrency exchanges such as like Bitstamp are not playing around. They are showing the correct time. As you can see, Euro USD here is showing the correct time. It could be that the website is just glitching out, that everywhere else everything is fine. Now it's unclear if the last hours I show this website, the prices were just fine. it's unclear if that's the case. Now it looks like the market has corrected itself. I'm selling my losing position here, and now I'm going to buy the market further. And I expect to make some money on the way up. It's 1 minute chart Bitstamp. As you can see, all of my trades were absolutely perfectly correct. I always traded the market, and if I would have waited right here, look at that. Sell order correct, buy order correct, sell order correct, buy order correct, sell order correct, buy order correct, sell order correct, buy correct. However, I didn't make as much money as it actually moved through. However, I wasn't looking at it completely perfectly through either. Now every time it seemed that I was correct, however every time I didn't sold my position at a perfect price out there. As you can see here, it says a wrong date. Probably in this case, if this has always happened when I watched tradingview.com, it's probably would be fair to assume that the only way to actually work this out is by taking a day off. Besides, every time I started my session, I told you the date and time, so you can always compare it to whatever was shown on the screen and see just how long the market was wrong, or if it was wrong. Maybe it's just New Year's glitch where things, I assume, the last time have just completely glitched out. So for example, Apple shows me that it's December 29th 22:59. however US dollar is telling to me 12/29 23:59. so that's even a different time. But Euro USD is on the good side here. Nasdaq on 1 minute is going down for a bit. It looks like at any point in time we should end up in a correction here. I'm selling my position. I assume that it's a correction that already taken place. The market's going down, so I'm shorting the position. Let's look at what's happening in the world by looking at the news that's being provided. Interestingly, India falsely condemns Bitcoin as Ponzi scheme, flawed logic. Indian Finance Ministry condemns Bitcoin. It says it's a Ponzi scheme with flawed arguments. Yeah, interestingly. You see, if it wouldn't be 200 billion market cap, then maybe it wouldn't. If it reaches 200 billion in market cap, it's probably not a scam. However, that not necessarily means it won't go down to zero. Culture shock. Bitcoin a part of all walks of life? Probably not. There are shows that accept Bitcoin, but who's going to pay with Bitcoin if it costs $20 to pay with Bitcoin? Well, somebody who bought a lot of Bitcoin but does not want to cash out because he's afraid, for example, that the tax man will catch them or something like that. You see, I expected there are people out there who bought Bitcoin when it was worth $50, bought like 100 Bitcoin. And now he assumes that if he would sell all those Bitcoin, he would have to pay a massive tax, massive income tax from the trade. However, if he uses all that money to buy stuff and not tell anybody about it, he can presumably get away with it tax-free, as long as he's not buying property or things like cars. However, for as long as he's just buying equipment, for example, such as household goods, things should go his way. However, I'm not as good in tax evasion as you may think, but I assume that for as long as there's no paperwork that actually clearly states to a tax man that's checking your taxes, checking your value, personal value, that you owe something that you couldn't ever afford to buy with your current income, then it should be just fine. If you just made your house gold plated, that doesn't mean that somebody's going to go into your house and check if your floors are made out of gold or not. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Just if you buy a lot of gold and then you pay somebody to make your floors out of gold, not necessarily means that the tax agency in your country is going to go out and check what your floors are made of. Normally, the way I look at it, people are being caught through tax evasion because they buy houses, flats, cars, they open businesses, invest in those businesses, and then the taxman says, how did you invest $2 million into a business, bought a $100,000 car or a $200,000 house, $50,000 flat? If you make $2,000 $500 and after tax, and that's all, and this is where you go to jail probably. You can't avoid paying taxes, that's the thing, because that's the way things work. The government gets paid, they protect you. You have to pay for your citizenship, so to speak. And that's what every modern country does. It's fine. It looks like I'm in the money, and I'm in the money for some time now. The market was going up for quite a bit. If this continues for the next few minutes, I should end up in a hefty profit. and it's starting to chop out. As you can see, it was a big hit. It looks like this run may end up somewhere around here. It may start going down. Jamie Dimon, Bitcoin is a fraud. 4 small words ignited a maelstrom when JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon took the stage at a conference in September. The blockchain world was never quite the same again. In response, Bitcoin became the talk of Wall Street, and in that dialogue, a beast was unleashed that maybe, just maybe, took Bitcoin out of obscurity to its new peaks above 10,000. As far as I remember, the CEOs are very united, the investment bank CEOs are very united in this. They kind of say that Bitcoin can go to as much as $25,000, but because there's no underlying value to it, it's going to go down. So they kind of are telling me that it doesn't matter for how long or how high it's going to up. In the end, you'll just end up with nothing because there's no value in it. And that's pretty much how I understood it. And that's pretty much it, you know. Investors still wary of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is established, but many investors are still wary according to industry experts. Well, what can I say? Tell that Bitcoin investors are wary to those that actually invested 100 and ended up with 20,000. You see, it looks like it's all over already. Bitcoin from nearly nothing went to almost $20,000. On some exchanges it hit $20,000, but on this one it never hit that. As you can see, it went to 19,666 on Bitstamp. However, on some it did went that much up, and that's the thing. And then Bitcoin has already, see, the way I look at it, Bitcoin has already is a star. It's a true star, like it's godlike, and whatever happens from now on, it doesn't really matter. You see, if it reaches 200,000 or 100,000, obviously it's another godlike situation. It moved from nothing to almost 20,000, then it kind of corrected itself and moved to 100,000 over the next years or so. So it's fair to say that it's another unbelievable situation. But for now, if it never reaches 20,000 again, it's fine. It already did that. It already proved that something like that can happen. So it's in its own right made itself. It's like saying, like the Napoleon, you know, the Napoleon in France so many years ago, he already made his name by becoming an emperor out of nothing, just like Bitcoin became such a valuable thing out of nothing. And then obviously he lost, but still everybody remembers him as the Napoleon itself, like the Emperor of France, who took over most of the Europe for himself, beated all of his enemies out there, everybody that opposed him. However, he lost to Russia, and he lost his crown, which is fine. He rising up against, once again, he was beaten, but still everybody now today remembers him as the emperor. Nobody remembers him as some kind of a guy who lived on an island somewhere out there because he was sent there due to him losing war in Russian Empire back then. So the same is with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin loses it, everybody will still remember it as some kind of a cryptocurrency that gained value from nothing to nearly 20,000, which means that it already made a name for itself. Look at this headlines for Bitcoin USD. Charlie Lee. It's good to be Charlie. After years of working at the first Bitcoin unicorn, Lee stepped out on his own in 2017 to take up arms against those who would delay Bitcoin technical development. His weapon? The cryptocurrency network Litecoin. With the network once languishing, now revitalized, Lee pulled no punches, becoming the opinionated voice of reason in a market that's known for its insanity. Okay. Bitcoin headed below 5,000 is one of silliest things, Dennis Gartman to CNBC. Dennis Gartman has become the latest traditional finance voice to FUD Bitcoin. It looks like some guy on the news is saying that Bitcoin can't go below 5,000. Probably. Yao Qian. Call it the biggest short in history. China took plenty of actions against cryptocurrencies in 2017, banning ICO, shutting down domestic exchanges, and all but taking a match to what was once one of the industry's largest and most thriving ecosystems. But if China is setting a course apart from the world, Yao Qian may be the biggest asset. The man in charge of rethinking Bitcoin on behalf of the world's largest state isn't just empowered, he seems to know crypto inside and out. It looks like in here there are quite a few people right here that are making their own statements. Well, if this is truly led by supply and demand, I would say that people and agencies that owned it just simply sold it due to the fact that New Year is coming, everybody wants the money, and they just cashed it all out. If it's unreal, then I would say that there's just another correction out there, and it's going to go move upwards and outwards. However, if you would ask my opinion, I would say that Bitcoin is a means of exchange, and for it to be means of exchange, it must have a proper fees to exchange. For this reason, Bitcoin has to be in a price range where its fees for buying and items or sending Bitcoins to others are in line of let's say up to $5. In the worst extreme scenarios, up to $10, for example, while it's still new. However, $20 was just too much as it was at some point in time. I'm closing the trades for now. I'm still leaving my long-term trade. Hopefully the market's going to go down. It looks like I've got a message here. Failed to close position. You have already placed an order to close the market position. It's in progress, please wait. Surprisingly, my position wasn't closed where I wanted to, and that's one of the cases out there when it comes to closing out the positions.